This is Chapter 2, Learning Objective 2. Determining an employee's work time. Definition, principal activities that require exertion and are required by the employer and for the employer's benefit. That would be considered work time, and they would get paid for it. So, what would be some examples of these principal activities? Prep at a workstation, and in some situations, changing in and out of protective gear may be part of a work day. Now, at the time that I'm recording this, which is September 3rd, 2013, there was an article in the Wall Street Journal on this day talking about a lawsuit for that the 800 workers from U.S. Steel Company are suing U.S. Steel, arguing that they're entitled to compensation for the time that they spend putting on and taking off the protective clothing that they wear at the start and the end of the workday. Federal rules basically say, yes, you have to pay them for this, unless your workers are unionized, and the union can have in their agreement that they won't get paid. So non-unionized employees have to be paid, but unionized employees don't have to be paid. As far back as 1947, contracts between U.S. Steel and the United Steelworkers Union have said, okay, you don't have to get paid for changing. And that is still the case when the union recently ratified the contract. But evidently, they have to wear a lot more safety gear now than they did in 1947, and it takes a lot longer. Probably it adds an extra hour to each day. So now they're suing U.S. Steel to say you need to pay us for this changing time. And it hasn't, I don't know the results of that yet. Also included is travel, if it's part of the principal workday. Idle time and wait time. You're waiting to provide the employer service somewhere and standing around. Rest periods under 20 minutes are principal activities. So you can't, if it's less than 20 minutes, employers can't force their employees to check out and check back in. They have to be paid for those shorter rest periods. Meal periods are generally not compensable time unless the employee has to perform some sort of a task while eating. And generally it would be for 30 minutes or longer that we're talking about here. Work at home is a principal activity for non-exempt employees, so that would count. Sleep time is a principal activity if required to be on duty for less than 24 hours. So determining the employee's work time and principal activities, these are all the things that would be considered compensable time spent. Training sessions would be considered part of employers have to pay their workers for that. If you're waiting for a doctor's appointment on site, you need to be able to get paid for that. So what are some activities that employers don't have to pay their employees for? Preliminary and post-preliminary activities. There's an act called the Portal to Portal Act that defines these activities. And basically it says don't count them as activities that have to be compensated for unless they're customary or it's written into a contract that you have to. So an example for these things would be like checking in and out of a plant, or waiting in line, washing up, showering, waiting in line to receive paychecks. None of those would be compensatory. Absences due to illness, again, you don't have to be paid for that. Tardiness may result in docked time based upon whatever system is in place. So they don't have to pay you if you're tardy, if there's a system that states what those requirements are. You need to be paid for fractional parts of an hour, and different courts have issued, a real variety of rules